Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you're around here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe. It really does help the channel out. Can't thank you enough for the support. And we're here today to finish off that draft. So let's just jog our memories of the first 15. As you can see, we had Richmond taking Sam Layla, Finn O'Sullivan going to North, Sid Draper going to Cowton, Levi Ashcroft going to Brisbane on the bid match. Adelaide had Jagger Smith, Melbourne had Harvey Langford, Richmond had Alex Tyree, Saints had Murphy Reid, Gold Coast matched the bid from Saints for Leo Lombardo, Josh Smiley, Harry Armstrong, Isaac Keiko, they Essendon matched their bid, Richmond took Bow Allen, Job Shanahan, and West Coast Eagles took legend in the making, Xavier Lindsay, and we now are at peak 16, Port Adelaide Football Club. What will they look for? I'm going to go here with Toby Travella. I think they've lost Dan Houston. They're looking for halfback run, looking for an elite kick. Very peculiar skill set as Dan Houston. And if he falls to this stage, I reckon that is a no-brainer for me. And then Fremantle are on the clock, and I think that they're going to go with biggest point of difference in the forward line. And we're going to give Joe Berry, the small forward, who is absolutely sensational, goal-kicking machine, also loves his defence. It makes sense. And that will then lead us on to GWS Giants, who have 2 picks in this draft at the same time, 18 and 19. And they're going to take Taj Hutton from the Sandy Dragons and Jesse Detoli. Now, the reason that I'm going to give them Taj Hutton is because I feel like they're looking for dynamic midfielders that can go forward, and that seems to be the kind of how they like all their midfielders to be. Taj Hutton, injury hit year, but has really shown that he can be that massive point of difference, particularly working on the hard forward line as a conduit. And Jesse Detoli, they often like these types of players, and I think Detoli, for me, is that wonderful mix of defence and attack, and I could see him turning into a little bit of an Isaac Rankine and pinch hitting in the midfield. Big 20 then, the Bulldogs, they've lost Alex Keefe. I look at their key position depth and I'd probably say that that is a priority. And then you look at it, Luke Trainor's there. It makes sense for the Dogs to take Luke Traynor, who in my opinion is the best defender in this draft. I'm a big fan of Luke Traynor. I think when you look at the size, how he plays, it does make sense to me. I'm a big fan of Luke Traynor. And then Richmond. So Richmond, remember, we gave Richmond Layla, Tyree, Bosch, Allen and Job Shanahan. They're going to look at this, and they missed out on Harvey Langford in this draft. They'll take Cooper Hines, his compadre, an elite player who can work front and back at the ground. I think very versatile, and I think it gives them a lot of options. Sydney will be rubbing their hands with glee, and they're going to take Jack Whitlock here from the Murray Bushrangers Football Club. Pinch hits in the ruck, plays key forward. I think that is the model of most ruck forwards this year as well. You look in the league, everyone has a dynamic job, and I think it gives them options to really take some ruck relief off there and really kick on. Jack Whitlock is a great player, and it makes sense for Sydney to take him. In at 23, Richmond back on the clock, and they're going to bring in Tom Gross. Very dynamic player, and I think it really gives their half-forward line and their midfield some massive scope for improvement. They've sorted out a few little holes here. They've got Bosch Allen, who I think will be an upgrade to Liam Baker with added intercept. They've also now brought in Tom Gross, who can work that half-forward role as Bolton did and really develop in it. Brisbane, pick 24. GWS are going to put in a bid for Sam Marshall, which Brisbane match. Brisbane will leave this draft with Levi Ashcroft and Sam Marshall. And for a team that has done so incredibly well in recent years, that's a great haul for a team that is the reigning premiers. 25, though, GWS will come on the clock, and they're going to take Harrison Oliver, the jet halfback flanker, an elite kick, great run and carry. It pairs up with Taj Hutton, another Sandy boy, and the conveyor belt that is Sandringham Dragons does it again. Meaning Sydney, their neighbours, are back on the clock, and they took Jack Whitlock, their first pick. We're going to give them Matt Whitlock. They're going to pair it up. It's a great culture, build this, but it also fulfills a need, and they get 2 real dynamic tools into the draft, and that is a very good haul for them. Richmond on the clock now, and they're going to really just finish off the cake that we've already built. We've got Cooper Hines in, we've got Tom Gross in, we've got Job Shanahan, we've got Bo Allen and Sam Layla. Now it's time to really look at long-term, and we're going to go Alex Dodson from the Sturts Football Club, a modern-day ruck. Now, Toby Nankervis is incredible at what he does, and I am a big fan of how he goes about his work. However, Dodson is that modern-day TDK, Tim English-type ruckman who gets possessions, works hard, his endurance is exceptional. They've got something to lean on and learn off the great Toby, because I feel like what Alex lacks, Toby has an abundance. So that's a great matchup to imprint learn. And then next pick straight after, they're going to double up on keys, and they're going to bring in Jonty Fall. Now, the reason I brought in Jonty Fall here is I feel like Jonty and Job are the perfect complements. When I look at good key forwards that have been drafted, Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay, they have standout points of difference, and I feel like Jonty Fall and Job Shanahan have a great standout difference between each other. Doggies on the clock now, and I'm going to give them Ollie Hannaford. The reason being is I can see this guy working up that half-forward line. Bailey Smith is a hole to that team, but when I look at it, I look at Cody Waitman. He's been playing a bit deeper and being that link man. Hannaford can slot in and really allow that development to take place. Real big pressure player, and I feel like you need them pressure players in the AFL. Pick 30, Eagles. Well, Eagles' first pick, I know some of you didn't like it, but we gave you Xavier Lindsay. I'm going to add a bit of midfield steel to this team that can go forward and really help Harley Reid out, and that's Hamish Davis at the Claremont Football Club. Big fan of Hamish Davis. He works really hard. He's rambustious. He wins the ball. He's tough. Feel like that's a good suit for them. Port Adelaide, pick 31. They're going to take Glenn Elgs, Angus Clark, and suddenly now they've got 2 supreme halfbacks with one that's got scope to be a midfielder in Toby Travella. Angus Clark is that traditional back pocket. He will then move up to the halfback flank. Great pace, great gut running. He attacks the ball hard. And Port Adelaide there have really complemented that halfback line and given them some transitional threat. Fremantle with pick 32, they're going to take Jack O, the wingman. And I'll look at this and I feel like since they have, ironically, when I look at players that have left in the last 10 years of any AFL club, I feel like Blake Acres is the biggest loss to Fremantle Football Club. And when you look at the way that Jack O plays, it instantly brings you that back. A guy that is 194, that can play inside as well, but has an elite guts running. And for me, it makes sense for them. St Kilda on the clock now, and I feel like they'd like some key forward and some probably key defence depth. They are going to have a couple of kids come in on their NGAs, but they're going to go James Barat here. And I think they're going to look at using him as a forward and really work that in. We've seen great players come to them. They've rechanged their roles. Isaac Keelaw, one of them who has really changed his role. I think James Barat gives them some real good options at Sandringham to really work on him in the VFL. And he's got high ceilings. Hawthorn Football Club on the clock. And I think they're another team that would have probably taken Jonty Fall or someone like that had he slid here. With Hawthorn's first pick at pick 34, I'm going to give Floyd Burmeister, the key forward that can pinch hit in the ruck. I look at them and Ned Reeves has done an absolute terrific job at Hawthorn, and there's no doubt about it. He has been absolutely brilliant, it has to be said. But when I look at it, I think that they could just do with that help, and it takes a bit of pressure off Mitch Lewis, doesn't it? Ned Reeves is a real solid customer for me. So is Lloyd Meek. They're 2 guys who wrote, but I think Burmeister could be a huge addition there of some height there and some goal kicking now and give some competition to Maribor Cho. That's a good little pickup for them. Western Bulldogs onto the clock now, and Western Bulldogs have taken Hannaford and Trainer, and with pick 35, they're going to take elite wingman Christian Moraz from the Eastern Ranges, a guy that works incredibly hard up and down the ground, creates spread and opportunity for his team. And for me, it's a no-brainer for that in this selection. Pick 36, Port Adelaide on the clock. Port Adelaide taken 2 halfbacks and a halfback mid in Toby Travella and Angus Clark. They're going to take Charlie Nichols, who for me is the best key forward in South Australia, bar Tyler Welsh. He's a real strong runner, really mobile, really versatile, and he uses his body well. GWS on the clock, and they've taken some good players. They've got Harry Oliver, Detoli, Houghton. These are definitely picks I think people will look to trade into. Their last two picks, but Nathan Salzburger rings true here. A combative midfielder that can go in the forward line, another conduit, and someone that I see almost like an Audi Stephen Canelio. I can see a lot of traits in that. I think it allows them to really do it. So, pick 37, Nathan Salzburger. Pick 38, Carlton Football Club, my team, and they're going to rub their hands with glee. Noah Mraz from the Dandenong Stingrays. Injuries have limited his games this year, but there is no doubt about his talent. He's since what Carlton are trying to find to back up Wheater in the long term. Big boy, very good in the air, reads the play well, jobs a carrot. Essendon will put in a bid at pick 39 on Logan Smith, the ruckman, who's very, very solid. He's probably the standout ruckman for me in this class, apart from Dodson. I'm a huge fan of him, the modern-day ruckman. They will match that bid, meaning Essendon come onto the clock at pick 40, and they'll take Jasper Olga. Everything I think they've looked for in small forwards. They've got a great one in Keiko. Makes sense to bring in another one, a guy that can really work hard defensively but keep goals out of his derriere at times. Sydney will put in a bid for Adrian Cole, which will see St Kilda match. And for me, the best one-on-one defender in this draft class. An absolute dynamic player and one that I'm very excited to see up at St Kilda Football Club. Sydney on the clock now. Archer Day Wicks, and this guy here is a highlight reel waiting to happen. And I think just because he's so deep in midfield talent, he's kind of been forgotten about. But he really stands out at Bendigo, and he is the type of player, like, Chad Warner, who was taken very late in their draft, that has all them skill sets, and Sydney just seem to be able to make the weaknesses strengths as well. If they can do that with Archer Day Wicks, he could be one of the best in class. Geelong finally come to the table now, pick 43. Lachyjack's Geelong Football Club. Audi Tom Stewart coming in here, and this is a great little pickup for them. He's a leader, he's strong, he's hard at it, and he's a very impressive young man. I think they'll bring him in. He's a great little player. Essendon back on the clock, and Essendon have had a pretty good draft. Jasper Olga and Isaac Keiko, and now they're going to start filling the pieces around there. And we're going to go with Tom Sims, key forward at Northern Knights. I feel like they could do with that key position depth and really work on it. I think he's got some good players to learn off, and he's a real solid sort. The Doggies on the clock next, and they've got Luke Traynor, and I still think that they're a key defender shy as well for the long term. They're going to take the best one available here, Clancy Dennis, all-Australian at junior level, key defender, centre-half back. And I think like Luke Traynor, the fullback, now they've got the centre-half back, they've got that future there to really implement something spectacular. Port Adelaide are going to put in a bid for Ben Camporelli. They're looking for probably someone forward of the ball who can play in the midfield, and Ben Camporelli will be matched. Joining the Carlton Football Club at pick 46. And I do think, as you can see with this draft, the bids have come a bit later than planned. Port Adelaide on the clock, and they've missed out on Ben Camporelli. They're going to take Josh Dolan, one of the untalked about workhorses in the forward half of the ground for Sandringham Dragons. And I think that complements what they've brought in. They've brought in Charlie Nichols, Angus Clark and Travella. They've brought in a real hard worker here in that forward half of the ground and giving some freedom long-term for Zach Buzz, Connor Rosie to not be that link man and pinch hit a lot more on the ball and not worry about that facet of the ground. Collingwood Football Club, peak 48. We're going to go Harry O'Farrell. This will break his dad's heart, the lawyer at Carlton. But for me, it's a great little pickup for them. They get a very good key forward who has had injuries this year and is a real strong one-on-one player. Learning off some very good players at Collingwood Football Club, it makes sense for them to bring him in. Essendon here, they can do anything really at this stage. They've got some really good things, but they're going to take best available. And that's Sam Turner and Zachy Johnson. Feel like they could do with some ball users, and Zach Johnson definitely fits that bill. Sam Turner, definitely that pressure-based forward as well. Makes sense to mirror these up and do something. Collingwood back on the clock. They took Harry Farrell. They're going to put a bid in for Tyler Welsh at 51. Adelaide will match that, and Adelaide have got an absolute bargain here. Tyler Welsh is an exceptional young man who is very strong at what he does, meaning Collingwood will take his mate, Charlie West, the key forward from Woodville Torrens. They've got 2 key position players in. I think now they are cooking on gas, and they'll be happy with what they've done. Geelong are going to bid on Joel Cochrane, which means Sydney will match it. They bring in another key forward who's very different to Matt Whitlock. This guy here is very agile, very mobile, but very, very strong overhead and very good one-on-one. I think it means that they've got that nice little bit of security there, and Sydney will be happy with their selections. Geelong will take Xavier Izovic, the wingman. This guy here is a proper wingman and probably AFL ready from day one. Very dangerous type player, and one that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they go about developing him, because he definitely is that wide type of player and gives a bit of notice to Jai Clark there as well, who definitely will be the long-term wingmans there. Brisbane, I think they're looking for the now here, and I think that they'll have a punt and try and mirror Geelong in Riley Bice from Werribee Football Club. I can see this guy playing half forward, being that little conduit, even though he's a midfielder for them. I think Brisbane will look for ready-made talent, and Riley Bice sits the bill here of allowing them to swing players and give that extra rotation and develop the kids a little bit. I'm a big fan of Riley Bice, and he definitely deserves that, and I can see him having that Sean Manor type impact at half forward. Essendon, they'll look at this and they're going to take Rhys Unwin. Rhys Unwin, for me, one of the most underrated players in this draft class, who is just really, really annoying. Can play half forward, has pinch hit in the middle, it has to be said at times as well, particularly around stoppage. An absolute bullet of a left foot as well. Very, very strong defensive pressure as well. And very, very accustomed to kicking goals, but a very versatile player who can make things happen in a short spurt of notice. Collingwood Football Club on the clock. They're going to take Gabriel Stumpf. That basically really helps them out. They're taking 2 key forwards in Charlie West and Gabriel Stumpf, but they've also got Harry O'Farrell, and I feel like that's a great little return for them. Gold Coast finally enter the fray. They've got Lombardo. They're going to take big-bodied, pain in the bottom Hugh Boxall here. A real good insurance policy, I feel, here for them defensive George Hewitt-type midfielders who are your defensive stoppers. And I look at Geelong, and it's something that Dimmer has utilised in the past. We're going to bring Boxall to the Suns. North Melbourne definitely need key position players here, and I feel like that they're going to do a bit of a band-aid fix and a bit of punt going to the VFL. But Pig 59, Tom Clory has entered the draft, and I think that they're going to bring him in for the now. I think that's a real good little pickup. We've seen other teams do this with Jared Garlett and players like that. Feel like North will do that with Pick 59, and I know I'm going to get hate in the comments. I love you Roos fans, though, I really do. Sydney, they are going to pass their selection to 60, meaning St Kilda are going to take lockdown defender and Ross the Boss type player, Blake Laidler, in their draft. They're going to take him in, and they've got a real solid little core there. Feel like losing battle and stuff. Long term, they're going to look at that like lockdown. I don't think Liam Stockett is it. Blake Laidler eats forwards for breakfast, so I think he's a very good little selection, and we've seen these defensive tagger type players become en vogue in the AFL. Pick 62 is a bid match here. Essendon are going to bid for Cody Anderson, who is Jai Newcomb 2.0. They're going to match that bid. Meaning Hawthorn's draft this year will be Floyd Burmeister and Cody Anderson. Meaning Essendon are on the clock, and they're going to rub their hands with glee. And for me, this is the pick of the draft so far. Luca Gregor goes in there. This kid here is built differently. I'm a big fan of this guy. And I think that they bring in a guy that is not only hard-nosed, but also hits targets with that handball, just works it out. Collingwood will pass at pick 64. 65, Fremantle are going to pair up their miscreants, Jackie O and Joe Berry, with Cody Angro from the Claremont Football Club, a guy that's not shy defensively but can kick goals, a real goal assist merchant as well, brings his players in, meaning Carlton are at 66. They're going to take Liam McMahon from the Carlton VFL. They're going to get some security in that key forward position. Adelaide, Carlton, Hawthorn and Carlton will pass. They'll look to use rookie spots to fill their list. And 71, Cale Guerin, probably the slider here from West Perth, will end up at the West Coast Eagles. You look at the West Coast Eagles, I think another key forward would be great who can pinch hit in the rug. Oscar Allardy is sensational. You've got Jake Waterman, some natural height here and a real strong competitor. Brisbane are going to take their Tom Gillet, key forward and ruck from their Brisbane Academy, and GWS and Carlton will pass. Geelong are looking for a forward here, and they're going to bid on River Stevens, which means North Melbourne will match it, and River Stevens will join the club of his choice, and Geelong will take Sam Davidson from the Richmond VFL club. They've done it before, they'll do it again. You just know Geelong just dirty of, they don't draft kids, but they just keep a sensational list going. Incredible what they do. And that goes up with Xavier Izovic. And that we picked them earlier, but also Lachyjack, which I think is a very good return for them. Hawthorn and GWS will pass. Gold Coast will take Noah Cumberland, the versatile midfielder from Richmond. He has entered the draft, and I think they'll reunite with Dimmer, and it helps them just fill a list spot, and I think they've got some AFL-ready talent. Eagles on the clock now. They're going to take Jackson Artemis, South Fremantle, the general defender, and very similar type of player to Lachyjack here, just probably less publicity. I'd say it's Lachyjack without the PR. Incredibly quick, lightning quick, uses the ball well, and that'll be a good selection. Adelaide will pass. Melbourne, they've got a depth of picks here. They're going to take Harry Charleston, who is very similar to that Christian Salem type player. Strong on the ground, likes to overlap run. Pick 83 then, and that means St Kilda on the clock. Sauce going to work his magic here, and he's going to pick up key forward ruck Harry Boyd, the mature age player, Marjorie medal winner, and it gives them ready-made talent to really kick on to 2024 and a night in 2025 even, and a nice complement of the players that they've already got. A very sauce type pick. He's big, he's strong, he's rambunctious, he can play and bring the ball to ground. Decent tap ruckman, gives Ron Marshall some coverage, but also helps take a bit of the load off Max King, who you want to make sure, who is a wonderful talent, but make sure he's got able backup. With Tim Membry going, you want a ready-made talent, and I think he fits the bill. Fremantle and Collingwood will pass, meaning the Bulldogs are on the clock. They're going to elevate their VFL superstar Trent Bianco, give themselves a stopgap for the Bailey Smith type role, someone that can help them kids develop, and he's had a real sensational time in the VFL. Geelong are going to look at Rhys Stanley. They've obviously got some very good young ruckmen. We know that that ruckman spot currently at the moment is filled by a young kid in Toby Conway. He's only 20 years old. They're going to bring Anjan Kulmon in from their VFL team, give him a spot there, really helps put some pressure on, and I can see him also being converted forward of the ball as well. Won't be surprised to see that. Sydney will pass. Not Melbourne on the clock at pick 89. Luke Parks from Williamstown Football Club, the former Carlton player. I think he's been sensational, and I really see a little bit of Marty Horay, Tom Stewart in that avenue of someone who's gone away and worked in the VFL for a year longer. I think he was maybe drafted too early by Carlton. He's looked really strong, and he's been a medal winner in there. I think it's a good little stopgap and a good little punt for them. And they've got the 2 extra spots, remember, with their rookies, so they can really start looking at taking some young talent that's missed out. West Coast Eagles, their final 2 picks are St Kilda, Fremantle, Dogs, and Sydney will pass their selections. Luke Urquhart and Malachi championed their NGA. 2 great little players, and really adds to their draft haul. So that is the draft then. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's been a real full-on thing. I've really enjoyed it. Make sure you tune in Friday to see the full mock draft with special guests. We've got Dylan Alexander, great guy, my great mates, Damo SC. I've got Ian Brownie from the Navy Blue Corner, and I've got the great man, Let Dog. All 5 of us put in a lot of work, so it's going to be a really informative thing, and it's really good to have 5 people picking against you, so should be good fun. Can't wait to chill out, have a beer with you all, get to know you. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. If you've seen the end of the channel, peace, love, and light. Pop me out.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella